Well, hello, students. Hope all is well. Here we are already in the middle of week two. Amazing, huh? Well, this chapter we're going to be talking about emotions and moods. And essentially, what this chapter does is it examines the effects of moods and emotions in the workplace. Oftentimes when we talk about the workplace, we talk about culture and what it's like. We talk about, do we really like going to work? Do we like the environment, our surroundings? Do we like the people that we work with? And that has just as much bearing, sometimes, if not more bearing, if we have morale issues in the company, than the skill set of actually doing the job. Because, if you don't really like where you are, you're only there for the paycheck, then what's really a problem, and we'll talk more about this when we discuss Maslow, but it's really a problem if you have to get out certain productivity. People won't go above and beyond, but they'll meet just the bare minimum. Why? They don't like their boss, they don't like the people that they work with, a lot of different reasons. So, what we have to understand is basically humans are emotional creatures, and to ignore this fact during the time that we work, and let's face it, a lot of our waking hours in the day are at the workplace. And so when we study organizational behavior as it relates to emotions and moods, we're going to be talking about the causes of and the influences on emotion in the workplace. We're also going to touch base on emotional intelligence, EI. What are the different ways that emotions play out in our work environment? So, what I'd like you to do is, bring your attention to PowerPoints 4.2 and 4.3. And basically, what I like to do is have you look at over the next 4 days, okay? We're going to be taking a lot of time talking about organizational culture because that is so integrated in the productivity of a company. If you have a bad culture, that company can go out of business, even if you have the best resources. Because remember, your most valuable resources are your human resources. And as I said earlier, humans are emotional creatures. So the thing is, how do we perceive what we do every day? Is it something that we just do to get a paycheck, or does it bring us to a higher level? And the higher level is we're there at the company because we know that we're making a difference. We know that we're making a contribution to the organization. We know that, okay, those that we work with and work for are keeping us safe. They have our back and they want to keep investing in us because we're worthwhile resources. So the objectives to this chapter are going to be able to, and you're picking this right up in your PowerPoint, but how do we differentiate between emotions and moods? And how do we identify the sources of emotions and moods? And we're going to look at the impact of emotional labor on our employees. How do we define emotional labor? We're also going to look at what we refer to as affective, not effective, affective um, events theory, and how do we apply it? And then, as I mentioned earlier a couple of times, emotional intelligence. That's the ability to look at the bigger picture, look at the peripheral, see what's going on around us, being able to assimilate a whole bunch of facts, think multidimensionally, and put things together. We're going to be looking at different types of strategies for emotional regulation. Sometimes emotions can go out of control and they can do a lot of damage. We need water to live, but guess what? If we have too much of it, we could drown. So, how do we keep our emotions in check? When they're needed, but we don't want to get them out of control. We have to think clearly and be able to focus. The other thing is, finally, the last objective in the chapter is how do we apply the concepts about emotions and moods to different types of OB issues? And we're going to look at that as well. So, like I said, over the next 4 days, we're going to be breaking this whole chapter down in different sections. Look at the reading, listening, and viewing parts please, before you go into the learning activities where the assignments are. There's going to be 2 more DQs. More than likely, they're going to be on the 5th and 7th day of this particular week. Okay? So take your time, read through listen to those YouTube videos. Remember, this whole thing simulates a classroom. So stay focused. You only get out of a course what you put into it, and this is fully online. So really pay attention. Use the PowerPoints that I'm putting alongside of my lecture notes here. And really think through the DQs. They're not cookie cutter. They make you think a little bit, but tie all of the things that we talked about together so that you're able to come up with something substantive when you talk to your peers in the class. Okay, that's it. Good luck for the rest of the week.